Good evening, Mr. Basil. How's it doing?
Very well. How are you, Alex?
I'm very good. I'm very good. Yeah, no, we've got a Netflix film this week,
Yes, we have.
which
Yeah,
I'm
yeah. It's
sure
called
you'll
The
you'll be.
Nest.
Yeah,
Yeah, The Nest.
yeah,
About 2 hours runtime. Big appeal for this one is Jude Law, who plays main character Rory O'Hara, and
Rory.
he
Yeah,
has his wife Alison, who they both live in America, got two kids, boy and a girl, and the film off takes with Rory suggesting that they move back to the UK, London in particular, like on the outskirts, because there's business opportunities
yeah,
there. And I believe the film's kind
yeah.
of set in the 90s, I'd say, because the Mercedes that we're driving looks like a very high end Mercedes, but it looks like it's in the 90s. It's very dated.
Something like
But
that. Something like that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So that the film kind of takes place, and they go to London, in the venture of promised hope and what have you, and they're very upper class. Rory's got a lot of money, or so it seems. But there's something not quite right in the air. There's a distaste. They don't like it in the UK. Rory's the only one who's got like vision and enthusiasm for the move. And although they're living an absolute glamorous lifestyle in terms of everything they want is being bought for them by Rory, and the house that they live in is like an old mansion practically. There's just this
Yeah,
weird
yeah.
feeling of offness in the film. But yeah, what did we think of it, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, it's a slow starter, I would call it, because
Mm,
it only comes up in about 20 minutes in, when things start to happen that oh, this is not the right, this was not the right move, because it's an American family, more or less. It's just Rory that's the
he's
English,
English, yeah.
uh, from in the family. His wife, Alison, was it played by Carrie
Alison,
Coon,
yeah,
which is
very good.
amazing. Alison, very good. But there is a clue there in the first 10 minutes when he tells her that they need to move again. And she says, "We moved 4 times in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
And this is them moving again." That's the first clue that something's way off with two kids. This massive house. They're wanting to move yet again. Just goes to show, is like forewarns you that this chap that decides to move his family again across the ocean is an overly ambitious. They have everything in the States. If you look at that house before they move, they pretty much have everything anybody would want, and then this guy wants even more. So it's already a sort of like, oh, something's wrong here. But the moment they move, it just peels off everything that all the shield that the family has when they're together. All of them are coming off all the time, and it just literally destroys slowly and slowly and slowly the whole structure of the family, what it felt like.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, they moved to this house in Essex. What did you thought of the house, man? It's
Yeah,
like
man,
massive.
absolutely scary places. Absolutely grand. One of the grandest houses I've ever seen in a film. But yeah, it's an eerie feeling inside this place. It was obviously built, 200, 300 years ago, and
It was like feels
it's
like a 50.
scary, isn't it?
You can house 50 people, not only four.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And obviously, like he's leased it as well for a year, so that's going to be their permanent residence. And yeah, it's weird, really, because as you say, like they made the move in the sight of for money, but where they've moved from, they've already got everything they want. You can see that, so it's one of those. If it isn't broken, why fix it? And I think that's the
yeah,
problem. It's
yeah,
it's mainly around Rory's character. Is that he doesn't really even know what he wants as well,
doesn't
but he knows he wants more
correct.
of whatever he doesn't want, and I
Exactly.
think that's a that's
Exactly.
that's
Yeah. Yeah.
the
And
big
that
kind of
and reality hits him pretty hard because it's so late in his life and he's committed to a life of a family life. But at the same time, there are moments when the just of in from her point of view, from Alison's point of view, when she's just an object of like a trophy, and he goes around parties with rich investors, because that's what he does. He's a stockbroker or something like that, and
yes,
he goes around these parties, and she's introduced as Mr. and Mrs. Rory O'Hara.
yeah.
She doesn't have a name, and then she just has to say, "My name is Alison, by the way. Don't want to make it confusing that I'm not
Yeah, and
Rory."
they make that point
Things
in the
like that.
film quite a lot, don't they? When
Yeah,
when like he will be talking to various businessmen and high class people, and everything he's saying is just so out there, facetious
shallow.
nonsense. Like he's like, oh, we're our holiday home in the Bahamas. We go there every twice a year, and like you can just see the look in his wife's face, like you're living a lie. This is
Yeah, yeah,
complete
yeah, yeah, yeah,
nonsense, and it's just
yeah.
cringy. And I wonder
But
how
also,
many people. in social situations
Yeah.
actually do that facade of claiming to do things or own things or have
And
things that
at
you
the
don't.
same
It does
time,
make you question that.
at the same time, he doesn't let her speak when they go out. Whenever
Yeah,
some question they're at dinner, or whenever there's a question towards her, he doesn't let her speak. And it's only the kids that are seem to understand. Only the kids seem to be the realistic here in the film. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but they, even though they do, childish things like, parties and things like that, but the boy and the girl, they are the ones that know how important love in the family is.
yeah.
When the other two, the parents, are either going off track completely or living a lie rather, like dad is, just overly ambitious and killing everybody around him, not literally, but literally destroying everybody's life around him because of him being over ambitious. But that's Jude Law. And what did you thought of the acting, man? These guys are both
Yeah,
the actors
absolutely
are
fantastic. There's quite a few scenes. The tension between Alison and Rory is great. It's really paramount. And just to add to what you said, them two act very childish compared to the kids almost. In the way they talk to each
correct.
other and the way they behave is incredibly childish. And like it's just it's a film of just seeing them both go into this slow depression and degrading marriage sort of thing, I'd say.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
And
yeah,
it's quite hard to watch, and like especially when they're arguing as well. It's like it's
yeah,
really brutal. It's really like in your face, isn't
yeah.
it? And they're not holding
And
anything back, and it's just like a
what?
very toxic marriage towards the end. But one thing I really liked about this film, which you don't see it very often, and when I compared it to something else, I compared it to this. Like the intro to Dexter, if you've ever watched Dexter, and it shows
Yes,
just sort of mundane shots of like everyday morning routine. So like eggs being cracked
yes,
into a bowl, and milkshake being made.
yeah.
So this film, what I liked about it. It didn't add to the storyline. It just added to the experiences. There's quite a few shots of people just doing run of the mill daily stuff. Which is
Yes.
just part of life. So it might be like Rory making a coffee. It might be Alison going to the shops to buy something, or just someone driving a car. And I really like
Yeah.
the tone of that, and just
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
showing
Yeah.
these characters doing
Yeah. To
mundane
me, to
run of the
me,
mill stuff. And for me,
correct.
I really
Correct.
like that because not every scene has to be a monologue or a dramatic situation. It's just these are how these characters operate in everyday situations, and there's quite a few segments that I could point
Moments like
out
that.
to you
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
whilst
Yeah.
watching and
Yeah.
saying, look, this didn't
That's
need to be in
what
the film, but it really adds to it.
that's what I like that too, because it creates an atmosphere of. To me, it looked different to what the way this topic of family disintegrating usually looks different as a film, but this one looked a lot like a psychological thriller,
Yeah,
because it's slowly, because of those long shots of monotonous moments in their lives, or but they tend to be a little bit longer, and they're also, in the house there's dark corners and the lighting is a bit dim, and doors open without nobody knowing if there is anybody in the house, because such a massive house, there's this big Elizabethan table in the living room that can literally fit probably 20 people, and they're only always using just the corner of the table because it's so massive, and it just feels like they're in a cave,
yeah, it's very
they're
empty.
just trying to conquer the location around them as a family to make it their own, and they have no chance because this house is so dominating and so imposing. And it's very well put that in images, the way it's filmed, the way the angles and all that. I like that. Makes it feel like something's gonna jump off the out of a cupboard in a second, but it never does because it's not that type of film.
No, not at all.
But
But
yeah,
like you say, it could be, couldn't it? With a few twists, it easily could be. But no, I just think also like
exactly.
Rory's character as well. It's he's got so much ambition, and he describes himself as like a visionary, and it's hard not to get behind him. Like you're almost convinced by his enthusiasm for what he does, and but
That is good
it
work. Yeah,
culminates to
yeah,
nothing. And I think you can't really risk family for reward, can you? And that's what he was trying to do, really, wasn't it?
yeah. True, true, true. Yeah, no, very good. Very good. They're put together well. The two actors, they just play off each other nicely in every scene, to be honest. And then there's the metaphors there with the horse and the house and all of that. It's really good, really good viewing actually. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
for a film
what's
that
it
I
called?
hadn't heard anything about, and I like Jude Law, yeah, it was. It's a bit of a gem,
Absolutely,
really. I think this one.
it is. It is. It's a bit of a good discovery. Yeah, it's called The Nest on Netflix, right?
Yeah, very good. Recommended.
All right, man. Cool. Talk to you later.
Take care, Alex. Bye bye.
Bye bye.